Welcome to Architrave Gaming. I'm the Archmaster. This is another episode on my own system, Arches and Avatars. Today, after last couple times we talked about attributes, attribute aspects, HP, how aspects solve a couple of problems that D&D has. You actually get tired over time in A&A. And then we talked about the attribute threshold bonuses, where you actually get rewarded for having, a 10, a 15, or a 20 in a score. It actually gives you a special, I guess you could call it a feat. It is a special feature. You actually get features for each, for 10, 15, or 20 in a score. I really like it. So now we are getting on to the next logical thing, which is skills. So thank you for dropping by. And thank you to my patron, Jack McCarthy. So, I opened the window for a little bit of airflow and there are voices outside. Okay, so with skills, I have not quite all new skills. I have a lot that are in 5e. I have 20 skills instead of 18, and I got rid of investigation and perception because, as stated in a previous video, it's not ideal. I really don't like the play style that is promoted by search skills. Yeah. So let's start with dexterity. Dexterity skills, you have acrobatics, sleight of hand, and stealth. I'm thinking about calling sleight of hand something else because it's so big, it doesn't really fit on the page as well. I could call it like finesse, maybe, but like no one really knows what that is. So anyway, sleight of hand for now. So, a really cool thing that I really like about my system, it's why I put it in there, because I like this concept, is that you actually get bonuses for choosing to progress in certain things. So with that, like the attribute threshold bonuses, that is an example. You get 10, 15, and 20 in something, and you get bonuses each time. With skills, I have 3 ranks of proficiency in my system: novice, journeyman, adept. Instead of just you're proficient in something or not, it's like you actually get to choose to upgrade certain skills, right? And this isn't any more complicated than 5e, because 5e already has half proficiency, normal proficiency, and expertise. They already have 3 different ranks of proficiency. I just have 3, and I just call them something different. So when you have, just to get this out of the way, when you have novice proficiency, it's a +3 bonus. Adept is, journeyman is +4, adept is +5. It goes 3, 4, 5 as you level up. Simple. And that proficiency applies to your weapon proficiency, your spell proficiency, all of it. It's just that 3, 4, 5, depending on whether you have novice, journeyman, or adept. You can remember journeyman because it's the journey, you're right in the middle. Novice, you're brand new. Adept, you're good at it. Journey's right in the middle. Simple. All right, so with acrobatics, if you choose to be proficient in acrobatics with novice proficiency, you can stand up from prone using only half your movement. Yes. Level 1, if you choose acrobatics as one of your skill proficiencies, you actually get a bonus. And you may be thinking, wait, you can already stand up from prone using half your movement. In my system, you have to actually spend a whole move action to stand up. And that may sound terrible, but don't worry, you get a lot of actions in my system. It's not that bad. Anyway, you actually get a benefit, level 1, for choosing a skill proficiency. That applies to every single one of these, okay? It's super rad. All right. But especially the physical ones, right? So a journeyman proficiency, right? Man, I'm not even going to be able to talk about this. I'm going to film a video and never mind. Forget me. All right, at journeyman proficiency, you have an enemy who attacks you has disadvantage to attack you, and you have advantage on dexterity saves when you're using a move action for defense. I'm technically filming this before I filmed the video about actions, which is why I was confused. I decided that I was going to film it and release it sooner. Anyway, with adept proficiency, your movement doesn't provoke attacks of opportunity, right? So as you continue to increase your proficiency in acrobatics, as you level up and you're choosing right, you actually get bonuses. And all of those make sense with acrobatics. With acrobatics, you stand up, I can't speak. You stand up using only half your movement. Or when you're using your move action and you're dodging out of the way, they have disadvantage to attack you when you're doing that, and you have advantage on dex saves, right? And lastly, you're so adept at acrobatics that when you're moving out of someone's reach, you always dodge. Your movement doesn't provoke attacks of opportunity. You're always out of the way. I think that makes sense. You get rewarded in combat for having an acrobatics skill. There are plenty of YouTube videos out there that are trying to help you actually what's the word? Man, my brain is fried. Use skills in combat. There are videos out there that say, hey, here's how to use skills in combat. You should use skills in combat. It makes things more interesting. You can actually absolutely use skills in combat, and I'll get into that either in this video or a future one if this one's too long, but you can absolutely use acrobatics in combat to do stuff, but just having proficiency in acrobatics helps you in combat. And guess what? This doesn't just apply to martials or just to casters. This applies to everyone, right? So, next, sleight of hand. You can draw 2 weapons as part of your basic or achieve action instead of just drawing 1. All right, that's novice. Hey, you're quick with your hands, right? So you can draw 2 weapons instead of 1. Cool, right? Instead of that being like part of the 2-weapon fighting feat, it's like, no, that's just part of your skill proficiency. I don't have feats in my system. I took all of the feats and I just put them in the game. I put them in the attributes and the skills and the classes and stuff. Stuff like Sentinel, right? The Sentinel feat. That's part of a subclass feature now. You play the Defender Bulwark. You're like, okay, I defend people. What does that mean? When they come into my reach and try to attack my buddy, I hit them, I stop them in their tracks, or they have disadvantage, right? That's part of a subclass. Instead of just saying, well, absolutely anyone can get that. It's like, no, that's a subclass because it makes sense for that subclass, right? You actually can tank. But I don't have these feats that are just floating around, right? It's actually bound up in the choices that you make while building your character. It actually makes the where you put your ASI more meaningful than just your bonuses, right? And it makes where you put your skill proficiencies more meaningful than just your bonuses, right? It actually gives you stuff. I think it's so much more interesting for your progression to give you features rather than your progression gives you numbers and then you just pick features randomly and they aren't connected, right? I don't like it. I like this system a lot better. I think you can look at how you make your character and be like, wow, that actually makes sense why I can do that because I have the adept proficiency at sleight of hand. All right, we're still in the middle of sleight of hand. At journeyman proficiency, your actually, we're going to ignore that one because I changed it. At adept proficiency, your achieve and basic actions don't provoke attacks of opportunity. Definitely going to have to cover that in the action one. All right, with stealth at novice proficiency, you can take an extra action at the start of combat, which essentially means it's not technically an extra action right then. It's an extra action that technically happened before the start of combat, right? You were so stealthy, you were already doing something and no one noticed, right? You only get it once per combat, but novice proficiency in stealth, you pick it at level 1 and you get an extra action at the start of every combat. That's kind of cool, right? You get a feature for your proficiency. It's so much fun to play my system because of the stuff you get. Journeyman proficiency, you gain 2 extra attacks at the start of combat. Yay! And at adept, add your level to the damage roll if you attack a creature while hidden from them. This would work really well with skulks and rogues and assassins and whatnot, but anyone can do this. If you attack a creature while hidden from them and you have adept proficiency, you add your level to the roll. Okay? You can only get adept proficiency in anything across the whole game at level 8 and beyond. So you're adding an 8 to that roll. Super cool. All right, let's keep going. Strength skills. There are 2 strength skills, okay? Something that I noticed was lacking in 5e is athletics. The way most people understand athletics, it technically doesn't cover, physical exertion with like your arms and stuff. I think it only even mentions like swimming, jumping, climbing, stuff like that. It's the stuff where you're using your whole body and you're traveling, you're moving somehow, right? With trying to like knock down a door, I have so very rarely heard a GM ask for an athletics check to knock down a door or lift a heavy object or something, right? They just say, make a strength check, right? And I saw this on Critical Role so much. I watched their entire season 2. And Matt Mercer is always telling Yasha, like, all right, roll a strength check. And she's like, not athletics? And he's like, nah, it doesn't apply. It's like, he's technically right, it doesn't apply, but that kind of stinks for strength characters. They don't have any skill that actually technically, applies to their physical effort. So I made one, forcing. So with forcing, so first of all, it just means that you get to add your proficiency bonus to, pushing, dragging, lifting, breaking stuff, all that stuff, right? Great. 5e problem solved. Another one of 5e's many problems solved by ANA. Haha. But also, with different ranks of proficiency. And novice proficiency, you can exchange any surplus to shove a creature 5 feet. In a previous video, I talked about surplus and the dice chain. So yeah, when you're making your attack roll, a strength check, or anything, any surplus, you can shove a creature 5 feet with it because you have proficiency and strength, right? That's just novice. At journeyman, you can exchange any surplus to grapple a creature, which in my system, grappling works slightly differently from 5e. It's not just grappling a target and that they don't move and then they can attack you perfectly and everything. You choose a body part to grapple. You can grapple someone's mouth, and that means they can't speak. You can grapple their arm, and they can't use their arms, right? You can grapple their legs, and now they can't move, right? So you can still have the functionality in 5e where I grapple the person's legs or like their back or their belt. You can flavor it however you like, but you can grapple a part of them and be like, right, they can't move. But you can also grapple other things, and you can spend multiple actions to grapple multiple parts. I got his arms and his legs, so like hit him, right? So yeah. And then at adept proficiency, you can exchange any surplus to knock a creature prone, right? When you are adept at forcing things, that's the skill, forcing, then you hit someone and you can, if you have like a D4 surplus, you can exchange that D4 and be like, no, I'm not gonna do a D4 damage. I knock him prone, and everyone else gets advantage on it, right? Like that's what you can do with high forcing skill. This makes playing martial characters, your fighter, your brute, it actually gives you an extra thing you can do, and it rewards you for having high skills, high martial skills, right? Athletics. Novice proficiency. You have advantage against being knocked prone because your body is tough. Athletics is actually the one about moving your body and your strength of core and like jumping, swimming, climbing, all the stuff where you use your whole body. So if someone tries to knock you prone and you're able to like keep your footing, that makes sense for athletics. Journeyman proficiency. You gain a climbing speed equal to your walking speed, because you're so good at athletics. And then at adept, you can hold your breath for double the normal time and gain a swimming speed equal to your walking speed. Yes, you're so good at athletics, at adept proficiency, you can swim real fast. Like, that's cool, right? And that's something you can use outside of combat a lot. Because I doubt a lot of people will be swimming and climbing in combat. I mean, it happens sometimes in underwater combat. But anyway, I think that's cool. I think I'll get 2 charisma skills next time, because I've covered 5 in this video, and there are 5 in charisma. There are 10 skills for intelligence. Willpower and con don't have any skills, as normal. Anyway, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Please feed the algorithm and all that. Thank you to my patron, Jack, for being my patron and supporting me. The patron right now is only $5 a month, and eventually y'all will get PDF access to this probably at higher tiers. And thanks for watching. Like all the pleasantries. God bless.